we present Kenneth Williams, Derek Nimmo, Clement Freud, and Juno Alexander in Just a Minute. And as the minute horse fades away, here to tell you about it is our chairman, Nicholas Parsons.
Thank you very much. Hello, and welcome once again to Just a Minute. And in this particular game, we welcome to represent the ladies Juno Alexander, and I hope she can speak out well against these three seasoned campaigners. The rules are the same. We'll try and keep them the same anyway. I'm going to ask each person to speak for just a minute, if they can, on some unlikely subject, without hesitation, without repetition, and without deviating from the subject anywhere at all. Clement Freud, will you begin this particular game? The subject is the function of a good waiter. Will you speak on that subject for 60 seconds, starting now?
The function of a good waiter is pretty much like the function of any other good human being. He gets up early in the morning and performs his ablutions, and then runs out to catch a bus or train to work, where he goes throughout the day doing the devious and boring things that good people in this world tend to perform.
Juno Alexander, you have challenged. Why?
Because he said that he did devious things, which must be a deviation. No?
Very clever. That's a very clever challenge, Juno. I think...
I wish I was dead.
He'll sulk all evening.
No, he won't.
No, I think that as he didn't actually deviate within the context of the game, I think the best thing to do is to award you a bonus point for a very clever challenge and leave the subject with Clement Freud, who has 40 seconds left, starting now. Derek Nimmo, you have challenged. Why?
Hesitation.
Hesitation, indeed.
I was actually sulking as predicted by Derek Nimmo.
But all that happens, Clement, is that you lose a point. And you don't lose a point, but Derek Nimmo gains a point. He gains the subject. There are 38 seconds left, Derek, on the functions of a good waiter, starting now.
Well, the functions of a good waiter are particularly important if you're waiting at a bus stop, because you should stand absolutely still in line until the machine arrives. Not an eyebrow must be lifted, not a muscle twitched, not an eye or nose.
Clement Freud is challenged. Why do you challenge?
Hesitation.
Hesitation, indeed. So as I uphold your challenge, Clement, you take the subject back, you have a point, and you have 23 seconds left, starting now.
A good waiter goes up to a customer, gives him a menu, and takes his order. Would you like smoked salmon, oysters, or caviar, he says, because these are the most expensive...
Derek Nimmo, you have challenged. Why?
He's showing off, you see. I mean, who can afford oysters and caviar and smoked salmon? A good waiter says, would you like the brown Windsor soup?
Derek, he may be showing off, but he's still playing the game as we have devised it, so Clement Freud has another point. He continues for 13 seconds for the function of a good waiter, starting now.
In lower-class establishments, many good waiters are...
Kenneth Williams, you have challenged this time.
Deviation. Of course, you wouldn't find any good waiters in lower-class establishments.
They've got to start somewhere.
It depends on the establishments which you frequent, Kenneth. Maybe in yours there are none.
How are you casting aspersions?
Yes.
Oh.
I think that's one of those difficult ones. It's a very clever challenge. So, Kenneth, I will award you a bonus point for a clever challenge.
Thank you. I've leapt into the lead, haven't I, then?
You've leapt up equal of everybody else.
Oh,
yes.
but
Clement Freud...
Thank you, my love.
There are 9 seconds left for the functions of a good waiter, Clement Freud, starting now.
It is particularly important for such a man to be attentive, to keep his eye on customers at all times.
Derek Nimmo, you've challenged. Why?
Repetition of customers.
That is perfectly correct. We have had customers before. Derek Nimmo, the functions of a good waiter, starting now.
Would you like the pea soup or the sausage roll, he says. I would like...
Juno Alexander, you've challenged.
Well,
why?
this is a deviation because, really, if it's a good waiter, he'd offer the menu and not keep insisting on the people...
You're all being far too
right.
clever. Derek Nimmo has another point. There are 2 seconds left for the functions of a good waiter. Derek, starting now.
And here's the menu, sire, he says.
Well, if there's any waiters listening, I should assure them their functions have got us off a very good start on this particular round of Just a Minute. And at the end, Derek Nimmo is leading by 1 point, Clement Freud is second, and Juno and Kenneth are in third place. It's terribly exciting, isn't it? Good. Kenneth Williams, will you begin the second round? The bloom of youth.
Oh.
Kenneth, I'm sure you can speak eloquently on that subject, but 60 seconds will do, starting now.
The bloom of youth was something which, when I knew it, I lacked the capacity to take advantage of.
No,
yeah,
carry on. No, the applause absolutely floored Kenneth Williams.
Yes,
We didn't expect
it floored
So
me.
we're still with you, Kenneth.
Thank you.
And we have 47 seconds left for your bloom of youth, starting now.
Had I known then what I know now, I have no doubt that my career would have gone very differently. Still, I cherish those photographs which show me with that wonderful bloom, that look of innocence, and incredibly...
Juno Alexander, you challenged Kenneth's bloom of youth.
Why? Because he said he cherishes his youthful photographs, and usually the bloom is on the other side of his cheek.
I think we enjoy Kenneth's bloom of youth so much, I can't quite see any genuine challenge there. So I'm afraid Kenneth has another point, as I don't agree with the challenge, and there are 35 seconds left for your bloom of youth, Kenneth, starting now.
It was surrounded by golden curls that went right down...
Derek Nimmo, you challenged.
Deviation. It was surrounded by golden curls.
The bloom of youth was. What's the matter with you?
Well, I tell you what the matter is. He's given you another point, Kenneth.
Oh, well,
So
lovely.
there are 31 seconds for the bloom of youth, starting now.
And a memorable portrait remains of that wonderful moment. I was once photographed, yes?
Derek Nimmo, you challenged. Why?
Repetition of photographs.
Oh,
We've had the
Yes,
photograph.
you're quite right. We've had more than one photograph. So, Derek, you have another point. You have 29 seconds for the bloom of youth, starting now.
The most beautiful bloom that I saw in my youth was a bluebell that I picked in the merry month of May in some little woods just about my own.
Clement Freud, you
Hesitation.
Yes, very rotten of you too. It was his
By
natural
natural
impediment.
I didn't know he got one.
Making fun of the sick.
Very healthy.
But to be fair, I am afraid I have to give it to you, Clement. You have a point. You have 17 seconds for the bloom of youth, starting now.
The bloom of youth is something I always associate with Kenneth Williams. The golden curls that lapped around his forehead.
Derek Nimmo, you've challenged. Why?
Repetition of Kenneth Williams and his golden curls.
Yes, indeed. We've had them both before.
You can't have enough of them.
Well, a lot of people are obviously in great sympathy with that thought, Kenneth, but we have to play the game, so Derek Nimmo has a point. He has 9.5 seconds for the bloom of youth, starting now.
When I was 3.5 years old, my Aunt Beatrice came to the room and said, "What a blooming awful youth you are." And I said, "It's funny that you should say that, because people have said that to me before."
For those of you who may be new to the game, I don't think I've established that whoever is speaking when the whistle goes, which tells us that 60 seconds is up, gets another point. On this occasion, it was once more Derek Nimmo, who's now got a very definite lead over all three others. Juno Alexander, will you begin the next round? Indoor plants. Will you talk for 60 seconds on that subject, starting now?
Indoor plants can be very vicious, cruel things, inclined to bite and strangle the hand that feeds them. Oh, they can come from...
Derek Nimmo, you've challenged.
A groan.
A groan.
Well, I mean, hesitation.
Hesitation. Derek, you have a point. There are 49 seconds left for the indoor plants, starting now.
I once had 47 shillings and sixpence, and I went into my local florist and I bought an aspidistra all of my own. I took it home to my house, and every day I cleaned the leaves of this beautiful plant with olive oil, which I'm told made them very shiny, and sure enough it did. And you know, people used to come from far and wide to see this lovely thing that I had in my drawing room. I remember one day the vicar knocked at the door and said, "I've heard strange stories."
Rotten. Clement Freud.
Hesitation.
Hesitation. You've got him on his starter again. And Clement, you have another point. You have 24 seconds for indoor plants, starting now.
My favourite indoor plant is a rhododendron, which is taken from a...
Kenneth Williams, why do you challenge?
Oh, deviation. A rhododendron is not an indoor plant.
You're quite right. Clement feels very hurt about this. You wish to justify it in some way.
in the middle of saying a rhododendron, which I took out of a field into my drawing.
It would still... I consider not become an indoor
It
plant.
would be a plant indoors.
It would not become an indoor plant, as this, I'm sure, is intended to mean. And so, Kenneth Williams has a point. He has 20 seconds left, starting now.
Well, I went quite recently to a house, and I said to the owner of that place, "What a lovely rubber plant," and he said, "No, it's real." And I meant... you see, and what I meant was the plant of the rubber tree.
Clement, Freud.
But of course he assumed that I meant it was synthetic.
Yes.
What?
Clement has challenged.
Repetition.
Yes, indeed. Yes, there we are. So you lose it, Clement, but you get it back. So it's an advantage in all these things. 4 seconds left for indoor plants. Clement Freud. You said rubber twice.
But...
So it's a repetition of rubber.
You're allowed to, aren't you?
Yeah, but not rubber, the indoor plants. You're allowed to mention the name of the subject, which is indoor plants, Kenneth.
Oh, lackaday-roo. I never...
What a charming way to swear. 4 seconds left for Clement Freud, indoor plants, starting now.
One of the great mistakes when you have indoor plants is to overwater them.
Graceful.
At the end of that round, Clement Freud has gone to second place behind Derek Nimmo. We're going to begin the next round with Derek Nimmo. And the subject, Derek, for you is what the Romans do. Derek, will you try and tell us in 60 seconds just what they do, starting now?
The principal thing the Romans seem to do is to arrest one. Especially if one is standing on the steps of St. Peter's dressed as a monk. I was there the other day, standing there quite happily.
Juno Alexander, you challenge. Why?
But the hesitation. His affliction was showing. Again.
My affliction wasn't showing. There's nothing to do with it.
No, I don't think it really was, Juno. No, it's a very good try. It was very nearly. It's difficult to judge sometimes. There are 47 seconds left for what the Romans do, Derek, starting now.
And this very happy father came out to me and said, asked me if I'd have some photographs taken with his lovely teenage daughter. And I said, I'd be very happy to. And so there I stood, having a few snaps taken, when a nun, I can only say it, shocked me. Because apparently she saw on the top of my head that I had a plastic tonsure on. And she reported me to the Vatican police, who came along and led me away with lots of men with spears and things, and other fellows with helmets, to underneath the Curia, where I was in prison for a long time, where people interviewed me and cross-examined me and made me take off this horrible little wig thing, put it on the middle of the table, covered with hair clips. It was terribly embarrassing, but fortunately somebody came along, an Irish priest, and identified me. The other things the Romans do is they eat spaghetti.
Clement Freud, why do you challenge? Why?
Deviation, this is Vatican and not Rome.
The Romans can include the people who work or live or otherwise in the Vatican, so I'm still with Derek Nimmo, who has another point, and there are 12 seconds left, starting now.
They also have all sorts of lovely pastas like fettuccine al burro, which I particularly like. They also have ravioli, which is a sort of...
Juno Alexander, why do you challenge? Why?
Because he's deviating, because it's what they have and not what they do.
Exactly, Juno. Very good point.
Very good, very good.
There are 5 seconds, Juno, for what the Romans do, starting now.
Romans square shields and carries...
Derek Nimmo, you've challenged.
Deviation, that's what the Romans did, not what they do.
They do in films, they do in films.
They do in films. I was about to say they do in films, and there's maybe many Romans running about their little boudoirs in Rome doing exactly this with shields. So... As I think it was a very clever challenge, Eric, I give you a bonus point, but the subject's still with Juno, and there are 2 seconds for what the Romans do, Juno, starting now.
They also bathe in the Tiber and...
Clement Freud has challenged you, Juno.
Oh.
Why?
There seemed a very long delay.
No, there was not. Juno has another point.
Thinking about it.
And there's 1.5 seconds for what the Romans do, Juno, starting now.
They eat in restaurants and go to...
Oh, she won it.
I asked myself, is it worth it?
At the end of that round, Juno Alexander was speaking. She gains an extra point. She's gone into 3rd place behind Clement Freud and Derek Nimmo. Kenneth Williams is only just in 4th place. We hope he will improve on that in the next round. But it's actually Clement Freud to begin the next round. A lovely subject for anybody to talk on, elephants. Clement, will you talk to us for 60 seconds on that subject, starting now?
Most of the elephants that I've known come from Lowestoft, where they spend the winter on the beach and the summer in the circus. Many of them appear in a revue at the Sparrow's Nest, which has a very small stage door, so the elephants have to be disentangled and then reassembled on the stage every afternoon and evening because the shows are twice nightly. There is a circus in Yarmouth, which is some 12 miles up the road, where these animals are
Derek Nimmo, you're challenged. Why?
Hesitation.
Hesitation, Derek, you have another point. So we'll press on as quick as we can. 31 seconds, Derek, for elephants, starting now.
But of course, the main thing is they never forget, you know. That's one of the things one always has to remember when one converses with them, do you see? Because I remember going to London Zoo, I think it was 3.5 weeks ago, and I went up to the cage and I gave this thing a bun, and I heard it whisper.
Kenneth Williams, you challenge. Why?
Deviation. The elephants aren't in cages at the London Zoo.
They are at night.
This, can you justify that?
Well, they are at night. Of course, they don't be wandering around during the night. They'd lock them up, and I was a nocturnal visitor.
Out of your own mouth, you've committed yourself. You cannot be a nocturnal visitor to the zoo, so Kenneth Williams has a point.
If you're a fellow, and I'm a fellow.
I'm a fellow.
You're a fellow, all right. No, on this occasion, I think it's only fair. Kenneth has another point. He has 19 seconds for elephants, starting now.
The only elephants I am familiar with are the ones that come from Ceylon, and once there, a keeper offered to let me hose them down. There were 3 or 4 of them, actually, and I took this hose in my hand, and he said to me, not only use the hose, mate. He said it was said in his accent. Of course, I can't do the accent. Yeah. A long time ago, yeah.
Clement Freud has challenged you.
Repetition, 3 hoses.
Yes, there were 3 hoses.
Well, they've got their stockings like
There were 4 elephants, there was one each.
They probably needed 3 hoses. Clement Freud has another point with 2 seconds left for elephants, starting now.
Africa and India are the 2 continents from which...
Kenneth Williams and Juno Alexander are equal in 3rd place behind Clement Freud and Derek Nimmo. And Kenneth, it is your turn to begin the next round.
Oh.
A subject which you have dispensed many, many times.
Yeah.
But will you now speak about it? Happiness. Happiness. Will you talk? Given the audience have gone so quiet. They've all... 60 seconds on happiness, Kenneth, starting now.
Happiness is, of course, a retrospective emotion. It is something which, if you are ever conscious... Oh, dear.
You shouldn't have stopped, Kenneth. Derek Nimmo, you've challenged.
Hesitation.
Hesitation. Yes, Derek, you have another point, and you have 53 seconds for happiness, starting now.
Happiness is really one of the most lovely emotions that one can possibly tumble upon. I remember going on the Great Wheel at Yarmouth one year, and I was head on... Well,
I'm sure that if you went on the Great Wheel at Yarmouth, you'd feel exactly like that. But Clement Freud challenged you, and we all know why. And so, Clement, you have a point. There are 43 seconds for happiness, starting now.
Happiness is something of which I contain a great deal, but because...
Derek Nimmo, you've challenged. Why?
Deviation, he doesn't. He's very gloomy, he's very dreary, and thoroughly miserable all the time. Total deviation.
Well, unfortunately, we don't know Clement Freud all that well. He might manage to give a...
And let no...
Well, all right, this is one of those wonderful occasions when I put it to our lovely audience here. Let you
They
be the
don't
judge.
know me.
That the audience where they know you're not...
lucky.
You can judge about this happiness in relation to Clement Freud.
Laugh, look, he's laughing. I've never seen him laughing.
Listeners... Clement Freud is endeavouring to smile at the audience, but he's almost cracking his beard in half. And I'm going to ask you to judge. Do you uphold Derek Nimmo's challenge? Do you agree with him? In which case, will you cheer? If you disagree with his challenge, will you please boo? And will you all do it together now?
Boo!
I think the cheers have it. I think there are more people who don't think you dispense happiness, Clement. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, I didn't think so.
Absolutely amazing. So, according to our audience, Derek Nimmo has a point. He has 34 seconds left for happiness, starting now.
Well, you see, I am totally happy, unlike that fellow Freud. He's a very dreary, miserable fellow. And I tell you what I put it down to.
Juno Alexander, you've challenged.
Well,
Why?
he's deviating because he's talking about the lovely Freud and not about happiness.
The only fair thing to do, I think, is to give you a point and leave the subject with Derek Nimmo. Happiness, Derek Nimmo. 33 seconds left, starting now.
One day at Morecambe, I went down and I paddled in the sea. And, you know, I saw a little crab and I thought, I am happy.
Juno Alexander.
He's at it again. He's talking about paddling in the sea.
Well,
and
this
not...
is happiness to
Happiness
Derek
to
Nimmo.
me.
So
Yes.
there we are. 27 seconds for happiness, Derek, starting now.
I enjoy simple pleasures. That's part of it, you see. I love going around with wreathed and smiles and dispensing a cheery what-ho to bus drivers and elephant keepers and people in the bloom of youth like Kenneth Williams. And I love rounding corners and saying, hello, old fruit, the sun's shining. Don't you feel tremendously happy today?
Kenneth Williams, why have you
Oh, this is all deviation. It's to do with his personal mannerisms. It's nothing to do with going around shouting the other people.
I think this is an impossible subject. You could well say that Clement Freud gives tremendous happiness to people. You could say that Derek Nimmo's gestures, or whatever you call them, also give tremendous happiness. So, all right, I will give you a point, and we're still with Derek Nimmo. Happiness, 11 seconds starting now.
And sometime I go to a local dance hall and I say to a lady, would you mind giving me the pleasure, the great happiness of having a little tiny dance with me? She said, of course I would, I'd love to. And so we go into the middle of the floor and we go 1, 2, 3, and I won't say it again because that'll be repetition.
Well, as Derek Nimmo was speaking when the whistle went, he gains yet another point, and Derek Nimmo has now got a commanding lead over the other three. Derek Nimmo, will you begin the next round? It's my birthday. Derek Nimmo, will you talk about my birthday starting now?
The day happens to be my birthday, and I have a card to prove it. So I would like to sing, if I may, Happy Birthday to me. And I can't go on anymore because it would be repetition, unfortunately. But it does give me tremendous pleasure when I wake up on my morn. I've gone wrong.
Clement Freud, you have challenged.
Repetition.
You have 35 seconds for my birthday starting now.
My birthday is on the 24th of April, and I am a Tauran, which means that I was born in the sign of the whatever it is, and am by nature humble, obedient, and one who spreads happiness. Is
Derek Nimmo, you've challenged. Why?
Deviation. We've already established that he doesn't spread happiness. By popular acclaim.
Oh,
but according to the sign of the zodiac.
Derek Nimmo, all right, I'll put it to the audience, because probably he does, but some people think he does. Do you think Derek Nimmo's challenge is justified? If you do, will you please cheer? If you don't approve, will you please boo? And will you all do it together now? The boos have it, they're on your side this time, Clement Freud. Some definitely think that you
always be nice to people when it's their birthday. Yeah. They shouldn't boo.
Well, Clement Freud, we're back with you. Another point to you. My birthday, 19 seconds left, starting now.
On my birthday, I get up and have my favorite cereal with brown sugar and single cream, which I don't have on other days of the week. And I'm then allowed to choose...
Derek Nimmo, you challenge. Why?
Well, deviation should be on other days of the year, you see. A birthday only happens once a year, not other days of the week.
I think that's a very clever and justifiable challenge, Derek. As a point to you, 9.5 seconds left for my birthday, starting now.
So in comes my cake. They put it down in the middle of the table, full of candles, tremendous number of these flaming objects.
Kenneth Williams, why do you challenge?
Because if a cake was full of candles, you couldn't eat it. A mouthful of tallow.
Yes, there we are. So Derek Nimmo's tallow birthday cake gains Kenneth Williams a point, and he has 4 seconds left for my birthday, starting now.
I sent a telegram to my parents saying, congratulations on having me. You did a very admirable and wonderful thing.
Well, Derek Nimmo's birthday brings us to the end of this particular show, I'm sorry to have to tell you. But I can give you the score at the end of that show. Juno Alexander was in 4th place. Kenneth Williams was in 3rd place. Just behind Clement Freud in 3rd place. And a very definitely overwhelming winner, today's birthday fellow, Derek Nimmo. So it is a happy birthday to the happy victor of this particular game. We do hope that you've enjoyed it, and from all of us here, goodbye.
The chairman of Just a Minute was Nicholas Parsons. The program was devised by Ian Lessiver and produced by David Hatch.